All right, how is everybody? You guys can see I have Durban with me, and we are going to talk about, there he is, look at that guy. Awesome dude.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Man, I hope so, man. So we're going to talk about The Lion King today, 2019 version of The Lion King, and what we thought about that. This will be completely spoiler-filled, and really, you know what, Durban, I actually did a review that was a non-spoiler review. I don't know why I did that. Everybody's seen this movie. So
Yeah, when I did my review, technically it was a spoiler-free, but what is there to spoil? It's been around since '94. The live action is the same movie with a few different things. So I tried to stay away from the one or two things that were different. But the main plot points, I just didn't even care about. Everybody knows what they are.
yeah, I agree. So we are going to get into The Lion King today, but that is like your fair warning. If you do not want us to spoil what you probably already know, then this is something that you want to come back to, because we're just going to get into it. We're going to talk about our thoughts about the film, and then you guys, of course, can join us in the comments. So, Durban, I want to do this starting out. I know typically folks do this at the end of collab videos, but can you give us your info just so people know from the door?
Right, well, you can find me on YouTube, Durbania. I'm the one and only channel with that name, so look that up. You'll find me. I do movie reviews, ranking videos. The most unique thing I think I do on my channel is called a theological analysis, where I love to like dig deep into movies and pull out the symbolisms and meanings behind stuff. So I have a lot of fun with that. If you want to follow me on social media, just search at World of Durbania on Twitter, or just plain old Durbania on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, awesome. So you guys, we'll put all that stuff in the description below. Make sure that you check out his channel. He's got a lot of great stuff going on, and you can see Durban is high energy, so you get that from me. So if you love that type of reviews, you guys go over there and make sure you check him out. Now, let's talk about The Lion King. So I'm going to start off with you, man. What are your first impressions of this new technically live action adaptation of The Lion King?
From the first line that was delivered to the last line that was delivered, this whole movie was a blank flat line for me. It was just, I thought it was totally flat. Fantastic cast. I mean, you look at the credits and they're awesome. I don't know what happened, but to me, the biggest thing I could give about this movie is flat. And I gave it a C- on my channel, because for me, that's like the low end of average, because that's where it was. Like, I didn't hate it. It's not worth hating. I mean, it's The Lion King. It still has the same story. So, you know, didn't love it, didn't hate it, so fell right kind of in that lukewarm middle of C-.
Yeah, it's funny because I normally don't give grades, but I gave it like a C+. The same thing, man. It was flat. I mean, I guess in my review I was like, it's fine. I mean, it's okay. It's not great. It's not horrible. It's okay. But it's interesting, though, that you say that it's flat, because I don't know if you've seen some of the other reviews of this, but that seems to be the common thread that most critics, anyway, are saying about the film, is that it's flat. Some people have used the term even lifeless. Would you go that far? Would you say that?
I actually said that word in my review. And it's funny because it's like, I don't even know where I'm going with that sentence, other than to say, yeah, no, there's a type of life that it's lacking. Like, when you go back to the animated movie, here's kind of where I pinpointed it. In the animated movie, because it's animated, the lions and all the animals have expressions on their face. So, like, even the line deliveries, I think, are just better in the animated one, but they have expressions on their face. And I think because in this one, they were going for the realism of live action and what an animal's face really looks like, we lost something in their expressions. And so I feel like the lines were delivered flat just by themselves. And now also minus the expressions on their faces, because we got to keep this looking as realistic as possible. I felt like we missed something big. But even keeping it as realistic as possible, when they're doing the music, like I Can't Wait to Be King is one of my favorite songs. But, you know, when Simba starts that song, like, he pounces and everything changes colors and the animals are dancing with him and all that, it kind of has this liveliness to it. But because they're going for more realism, no color change, no animals dancing with him, like he's trying to run and hide and dodge between animals, but it didn't have that same energy because they're trying to keep it quote unquote realistic, I guess. And so it just lost some of that life.
You know what, man? 110% agree with you. That is the major problem that this film suffers from. And it's interesting, right? Because it's hard sometimes to make the leap from an animated film to a live action film and have it work. And I kind of felt that way about Aladdin too. I won't get off on that, but you're right. The fact that we did not get the facial expressions, we did not get the nuance of facial expressions, it really kind of pulled us into the animated version, and you couldn't do it because you were doing a live version of the Lion King, and that really strips away the magic of this movie. That is what kind of makes this feel very lifeless. It feels very flat because you do not have the subtle nuances that, I don't want to say, well, you know what, I'm going to ask you about this. I was going to say that you could only get through the animated version, but let me ask you this. Because we do know that this was technically still an animated film. It was CGI. Right. Do you think that they could have given us more facial expressions and still had it work being a live adaptation film?
Oh, 100%. I mean, movies cheat all the time, and the fact that this one didn't cheat in that direction felt like a major loss for me. I really think you still, and you could have kept them subtle, and they still would have been just fine, but they didn't even, like, do it subtle.
Right.
And so, I mean, with all this motion capture technology that we have with Avatar and all these things, why couldn't you take your actors through a training course and kind of have them learn how to move like the animals, and then have them kind of perform as they're saying the lines, and then you're capturing their face with all the dots and stuff that they do? Mm-hmm. Like, how cool would that have been? And I don't know if they did that or not, but it doesn't feel like they did that because there were no facial expressions. I still think you could have kept the realistic look of the lion face, and you could have still had them be a bit more expressive.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that given the detail of the technology, and we know that this was all CGI, so you saw how intricate everything was. It was truly photorealistic. So you could have done slight things with the facial expressions just enough because you had complete control over the image.
Yeah.
So you could have done things like that, or you could have done, look, man, Durban, you could have done small things, like you could have made Scar's eyes green. You could have done that.
Why not? They're already talking and singing.
Exactly.
Okay? That's not realistic to the animal kingdom. You might as well cheat a little more and give them slightly more expression. Give Scar a little bit more green eyes. Right. Give them just a tad bit more of the hint of the characters, that we know.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so that is the biggest problem that this movie has. And I said in my review of it that it could not work because so much of the magic of this film was really wrapped around the 1994 animation. And when you strip that away, you get what we have with the 2019 Lion King. You get a story that's fine, and I agree with what you said in your own review that this does follow pretty much the same story beat by beat of the original, but you don't have the magic that the original film had in the 2019 version. So
yeah, no, that's exactly how I felt about it. And the other thing that just blew my mind was some of the line deliveries. Like, I didn't quite like Scar's voice in this one. It just didn't feel sinister. It didn't feel evil. I don't know. It felt like he was just kind of reading. And then there's this part where Scar is attacking Simba's mother. Mm-hmm. And Simba says, "Leave my mother alone." But the way the line was delivered, it sounded like Donald Glover was playing Troy from Community when, and Troy's a goofy character, and he sounded like that character trying to play something serious. And I just went, oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I felt the same way about the line delivery. I didn't like some of the choices of the VO acting. I did say in my review I wasn't super happy about Beyonce as Nyla. People are going to probably lose some subscribers there because people they were really excited about Beyonce in this role.
Let me join you in this talk about Beyonce. Here's what I really didn't like. Remember when Simba's running through the desert to go back to Pride Rock? And you remember in the animated movie, it was that really intense music, and it kind of got your energy up, like, oh, we're going into something big right now as we're seeing this montage of his feet running through the desert, that intense music playing. You're like, yeah. Now it's a Beyonce pop song. My wife and I just kind of went, you've got to be kidding me. Seriously.
Oh, man, no, I agree. And it's funny because they stuck to the story for the most part so much, but then on major parts, on major portions where we were looking for this iconic feeling or song or relationship to the older movie, then you went in a new direction. Let me tell you something else, and I'm sorry, you guys, for everybody that's out there. I know you guys probably feel like we are killing this movie, but we are being honest with you, and of course, you can always comment if you disagree with what we say.
And I have positive things to say, and I'm sure we'll get there. But right now, we're on this.
Yes. So I'm sorry, man. I got to talk about this too. Now, I almost need a moment, Durbin. I almost need to collect myself.
Take a moment. Take your moment. I get it. Breathe.
How in the world are you going to sing "Can You Feel the Love Tonight" and it's still daylight outside? Could you have not? I couldn't.
But that was the thing about the songs. They were going for that realism, so they didn't change the lighting. They didn't change anything to bring you into the mood of the songs. I don't know why. Like, I agree with you. Why couldn't you do that song at sunset?
Right.
Going into the night.
Right.
And let there be that light change to bring us into, like, the mood of it. And it just... I 110% agree with you there. Like, and that was, to me, all the songs. My favorite song is Be Prepared. Yeah. That song sucked in this movie. I mean, I get it. Okay, it's a cartoon, so you can have volcanic eruptions that have no bearing on anything and have him leap from thing to thing and fire and all that. You can have that.
Right.
And in a gritty, realistic thing, you can't.
Right.
But there's got to be something you could do other than him half talk, half sing it, and kind of just prowl around.
Yeah, I was just blown away by some of the choices that were made when it came to what they did visually in the film. And again, I gotta stress this. This is a CGI film. You can do
it's animated.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong, Durbin. I get the whole idea that we are going for something a little bit different here. I get the whole idea that this is a live action movie and we are kind of playing by certain live action rules. I understand that. But man, you got to do something because...
Well, Laura, my wife, had this to say about it. It's like they took something out and didn't replace it with something better.
Right.
So, okay, you're going to go live action and you're going to go by live action rules. So there's a lot of stuff in the animated you're going to take out. But play with your new set of rules. Do something different. Put something new in that works with what you're going for. And I don't think they did that.
No. I don't think they did either. Now, I do want to say this because I said this in my own review, and I want to put this in front of you to see what you think about it. I think this was a hard task for Jon Favreau, the director. I think that it's really tricky when you look at something like the Lion King, especially when you are making an adaptation of a hugely iconic film. A lot of people, I think this is your favorite animated film.
This is my favorite of those Disney animated films. Yes.
Right. So of the Disney films, I think it's hard because I think that Favreau has to walk the line because you're going to have like the super fans, the diehards that are going to be like, don't you touch one thing in this movie. So he's doing that, but at the same time, I feel like he probably wants to do something kind of fresh and new. He wants maybe a little bit of a different take on the 2019 version. So it's probably hard. It's probably hard to decide which way you are going to really go. So I do want to throw that out there as kind of like I'm not a mercy bone. I don't know what you would call it, but I can understand the difficulty. So.
I love Jon Favreau, so I'll echo that. Like, I can't even imagine the pressure that was on him, especially in this internet age where everybody has an opinion about everything. So I can't imagine how hard it was. And the difference with The Lion King is, like, a lot of these other Disney movies are fairy tales.
Right.
And fairy tales lend themselves to reinvention. They lend themselves to, let's hit it at a different angle. Ooh, let's try it this way. I mean, just look at Maleficent. Cinderella's a fairy tale, but you can hit it from the angle of Maleficent. I hated that movie, but the point is it lends itself to taking that whole different approach. Lion King is not a fairy tale. Lion King is like this retelling of the story of Hamlet and ripping off this 1966 whatever thing. Who cares? Point is it's a very specific story, and it doesn't lend itself to the same type of reinvention, I guess, that I think a fairy tale would. On top of the fact that it's such a classic. So I can't even imagine the pressure that was on Jon Favreau's shoulders. So, John, you're still a fantastic director, and I'm going to your next movie. I'm just saying, this one particular one, I don't know. I can't imagine how hard it was.
Now I agree. I mean, like you really can't take anything away from Favreau. I don't. Did Favreau? I know that Favreau directed the Jungle Book, the series or the movie that was on Netflix. Did he also direct now I can't think. Man, I just had a brain freeze.
Happens to me all the time. He directed the Disney one. Yes. The one that was straight to Netflix was directed by Andy Serkis.
That's okay.
So that one was totally different.
That one was, I heard that one was kind of sinister. So, all right, good. Then thank you for saving me because that's what I wanted to say. So, if he directed the cinematic version of the Jungle Book, then
and that's my favorite of the cinematic ones. I love that Jungle Book. That was good.
And that was fabulous. And we know a lot of that had some heavy CGI influence as well. So, I say it to say that he can do it. We've seen him do. Yes. We've seen him do the work. But this was, man, I had some major problems with the feel and tone of the movie. And it was funny because one of the things that I thought when I was hearing reviews prior for all the lucky folks that get to see it like a week before we do, just because so, I was interested to see if I would kind of get what they were seeing and that major complaint that this movie was very flat. And sure enough, I was like, yeah.
I always try to stay away from that because I never want any of that stuff to influence me, but this was just everywhere, that it's flat. So I did my best to go in and try to clear the slate in my mind. Big problem is I seriously had just watched the Lion King animated movie like the day before, did that awesome analysis, and then I go see this, and I'm like, oh, they're right. This is flat. But to me, it goes into the lines and everything. I mean, even the opening scene where Scar is talking to his lunch and loses his lunch, having just watched the animated movie, they took the same lines, but they rehashed them in a different order. Mm-hmm. And then when they had Mufasa coming in, it was like a fan service thing. Like, he shows up, this weird dramatic music plays, and I was like, what is that? And it kind of just felt like making a YouTube video or something, kind of just tossing in that music that kind of got in the way of some of the lines, then you pull it back. That's what it sounded like to me.
Yeah.
And then as soon as Mufasa started talking, and I do not mean this as any kind of insult because I love James Earl Jones, but I felt like what I was really hearing was the age in his voice. Like whatever they affect, I don't know if they put an effect on his voice in the Lion King thing, but there was more bass. Mm-hmm. There was less bass in this one. It felt very flat, and it kind of just felt like he was giving a straight delivery of the line, reading it right off the page.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? I would not be surprised if I don't know if the actors were even affected by the fact that this was not a traditional animation when they were delivering the lines. I don't know. This whole thing just kind of had just a different feel than what we were hoping for. I do want to say something positive about what we saw here. I do think that visually it was stunning.
Oh, it was. The visuals were fantastic.
Yeah, I was absolutely blown away by that. And I remember thinking, if Disney is able to do something like this with CGI, it's almost limitless what they can do going forward. So,
yeah, the CGI was utterly fantastic in the movie. It kind of blew my mind because it's like some of the best we've seen probably since the first Avatar movie. Like, it's just, it did not look CGI. It really looked like they got some trained animals out there and were filming them and adding the voices over later. And so they did a good job. And if Disney can maintain that, then that would be amazing for what we got in the future.
Yeah, I think it was awesome. Now, I think all of it was CGI. Am I wrong about that? I believe even the background, the landscape, everything was CGI. Is that correct, or do you know?
I'm not even sure if the background was. I know the animals were, but I'm not even sure if the background was. I'd have to go back and do some research on that. If it was all CGI, that was fantastic.
So, if there's anybody out there in the community that knows whether or not the background was CGI, let us know in the comments because I really want to know that. Because if that's the case, then now I'm even more blown away by what they've done with this film technically. So how did you feel? I know that you didn't like some of the line deliveries, but how did you feel about some of the choices for voice actors with this?
I don't think they did a bad job choosing voice actors. James Earl Jones is an awesome choice for Mufasa. I like Donald Glover.
Yeah.
And, I think he had great potential to do a good job with Simba. And he did a great job when he was first Simba at the very, when he's still singing Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Like, that was pretty funny. And he had a great singing voice and stuff. So I don't I look at the cast, and I don't think I have a problem with the cast. I just wonder what was going on in the process of recording, because I don't think the cast reached their potential of what they could have delivered.
Right. I would agree with that. I mean, I like most of the cast. The only issue I did not like Beyonce as Nyla, and that's nothing on her. Her voice was just not a good fit for me with Nyla. It didn't resonate with me. It didn't really connect to Nyla's character. Other than that, I thought,
I can never pronounce his name. The guy who does the voice of Scar. I did not like his voice as Scar. I think he's a good actor, and I've liked him in other things that I've seen. So he's a good actor. Just for he did not connect with me as Scar.
So he didn't resonate with you.
No.
So if we were to talk about your favorite characters, I bet I know who you're going to say.
Oh yeah, you're gonna know.
Who were some of your favorite characters in this adaptation?
In this particular 2019 adaptation.
Yeah.
I liked Zazu, because John Oliver did a good job, and I liked Pumbaa and Timon. Yep. I thought those three were the best done voice works in this whole thing.
Yeah. It's funny because Pumbaa and Timon are it for me too, and a lot of people are kind of expressing the same sentiment. They were the one part in this film visually too that I liked, that really did work for me. Their humor, their connection between each other, I thought really worked well.
Oh yeah.
Everyone else, so.
Yeah, and I loved Hakuna Matata and how they played with our expectations with that song, because it's such a classic song. So when Pumbaa sings, "Every time I got downhearted, every time that I farted," you're not gonna stop me, seriously?
Yeah.
Those little moments like that where they knew what we as the audience were expecting. We were expecting Timon to stop him before he said the word farted.
Right.
And he didn't stop him. And he's like, "You're not stopping me now." The way that they played with certain expectations with those two characters, I really enjoyed.
Yeah, for me, they really were the stars of the movie. They did an excellent job. I did want to see more, though, too, from Rafiki, the monkey.
I did, too.
So...
He didn't talk hardly at all until the second half of the movie. And then here's something disappointing to me. So when Simba's talking to his father in the clouds,
Yep.
I did not like the storm clouds. I thought that was kind of dumb.
Yep.
But as soon as it was over, Rafiki goes, "Now, who are you?" "I am Simba, son of Mufasa." It's like, no. This is the thing where you have to stick. And he's like, "But going back means I have to face my past." You smack him on the head, and it's a great lesson about the past hurts, but we could learn from that rather than being afraid to face it.
Right.
What a great... It frustrated me for all the shot-by-shot that they did, but they cut things like that.
Yep. Well, it's funny because that was a main argument from a lot of people. They were like, where were scenes like that? Iconic scenes like that. I mean, for the life of me, I don't understand that as well. Man, where was the man's staff? Why do we have to wait 30, 20 minutes later where he's digging it out of a hole? What are you doing?
Oh, that was total weird fan service that did not work. Pulls it out. "Oh, my old friend." I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody cradles their staff or their walking stick like that and says, "My old friend." That is fan service that went awry. That did not work.
Yeah.
And then... to have him have it, and this is me being nitpicky, so you ready for me to continue to be nitpicky?
Do it.
When he fights the hyenas in the animated movie, and he's Bruce Lee, and he's like, "Wah!"
Right.
That was hilarious.
Right.
And then he comes out in this movie, he's just kind of wagging the stick, like, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, there were a lot of missed opportunities here too. I was a little upset with the depiction of the hyenas. I would have liked for them to have found some way. I can't remember who voice acted the hyena with the crazy eyes. Do you remember who that was from the original?
I don't remember who voiced it. I know Whoopi Goldberg did
she was the lead.
Shinzi, but I can't remember. I don't remember who did the other two.
Well, I wish that they would have found a way to really bring him in. They had his character, of course, was in there, but not nearly as funny as the original character. So,
and you could tell they're going for kind of a Key and Peele humor with those other two,
right? Which
could have worked, but again, that was flat,
right?
And Key was there doing a voice work, and it's not that he was bad. It's just it goes back to what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what happened when they were recording, but something kept coming out flat instead of engaging or, full of flavor and bringing me into these characters. So I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there were a lot of missed opportunities with this film, but it'll be interesting to see how fans rate this film going forward. I think the last time that I looked at it, I know from our perspective, I think like the critics were giving it like a 58% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I think it had like a high fan score. It may have been in the 90s. So
it's crazy because I saw it, and when I was leaving, like the credits started and our entire audience was applauding, and I was like, wow. I mean, I didn't feel that way.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it wasn't horrible. It certainly wasn't great. It wasn't what I expected. It wasn't what I hoped for. Is probably the best way to put it. So
I want to give you one more positive though.
Okay.
And it's a Pumbaa and Timon positive.
Okay.
So in the animated movie where, they're supposed to be used as live bait, and Timon's like, well, what do you want me to do? Dress a dragon, do the hula? And then, boom, that next scene he's doing.
Right.
Okay, so it's not a cartoon, so I guess we can't do that, right?
Right.
But that was hilarious that he was singing Be Our Guest.
Yeah.
So they definitely had good, solid moments in this movie.
They did.
But, yeah.
They did. It's interesting, too, because I like the other scene with Pumbaa where I'm not sure who it was. I think called him fat or called him something.
Oh, yeah. One of the hyenas.
Yeah. And he was like, did you just call me fat? And then he just kind of goes into this rage. And I remember that from the animated part, too. That was good, too. They really did a really good job in this movie.
Yeah.
So
Timon and Pumbaa were kind of like Aladdin. I thought that movie had no charisma until Will Smith was on the screen.
Right.
And I felt that about Lion King. There was no personality or charisma, but when Timon and Pumbaa were on the screen, and Zazu, I liked him. I liked John Oliver's voice work there.
Yeah.
So when those three were on screen, that's where I was feeling, okay, here's some more characters. Here's some more life.
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point, too. You're right. When they were on the screen, they did uplift the movie. They did make things feel a lot more lively. So,
yeah.
Well, you know what, man? If I had to give some advice about whether or not to go see this film, I would say that it's fine. I know what you're gonna say, but I'll let you share that. I would say it's fine. I mean, from my perspective, I think it's worth your movie going dollars if you go in knowing kind of what you're going to get. I will say that if you have seen the original version and you're older, then you are probably not going to experience the same nostalgia or the payoff that you think you might get from a live adaptation. But do I think that maybe your kids would enjoy it? Is it a good family film? I think sure. And do I think it's worth your movie going dollars? I think sure. It just was not a great movie for me. It was just an okay movie. But what would you say, Durbin, for folks who want to check this out still?
I think I agree with you in that, like, if you have kids that aren't nostalgically connected to the original and, looking at everything through the eyes of wonder, for them, it's probably worth seeing on the big screen. If you're like me, you're an adult, you don't have kids, and you love the animated Lion King, wait till it's on Disney Plus and watch it on that streaming service, because to me, it's far better to watch at home on the smaller screen than it is to go see it on the big screen.
Right. I got you. Yeah, so there it is, you guys. You can decide how you are going to consume this. If you have not seen it, you can go check it out in the theater, or you can wait until you get home and check it out on Disney Plus. You know what? We got to have this will be another video, but we got to have a discussion about Disney Plus, because I think that they're about to make some power moves that's really going to hurt.
Oh, man. I mean, I'm definitely going to sign up for Disney Plus, man. Disney owns the universe, so yeah I'm definitely going to sign up for that and see the content that they got.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with them and Netflix. Anyway, you guys, we're not talking about that now. You see how, you guys know how it is here on Dark Side. Because I get off on rabbit trails, you know what happens. So, but I do want to thank you, Durbin, for coming on, man. And we got to do this again. This was a lot of fun. So, yeah, there it is, the 2019 spoiler review for The Lion King. And those are our thoughts. Meet us in the comments. If you guys have anything to share, jump down there and we definitely will get into it with you guys. Durbin, thanks, man. It was so awesome to have you. Once again, can you tell the folks where they can find you on your social, and tell us a little bit more about Durbania?
Will do, and thank you so much for having me on your channel. We've been needing to collaborate for a long time.
Absolutely.
And I'll have to come up with something cool and bring you on my channel, and we could do some more stuff. It'll be awesome.
All right. Sounds good.
But my channel, Durbania, just look that up on YouTube. I do movie reviews and ranking videos. I do trailer reactions and this thing I like to do called a theological analysis. I just did one on the Lion King animated movie that I thought came out pretty cool. So you could definitely check out some really cool videos like that on my channel. Love to have you. Or you can find me on Twitter at World of Durbania or Durbania on Instagram and Facebook.
All right, awesome. So, guys, all that stuff, again, will be in the description below. Make sure that you check Durban's channel out. As always, you guys are awesome. You guys know that I love you so much. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Oh, I messed that up. But you know what? We're family here, so I'm just going to keep going. This is the best community on YouTube, guys. Thank you so much. Again, Durban, thank you so much for being with us, guys. I will see you on the next video, and I will see you in the comments. Peace.